Are we on cable?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Roll call. Everyone's here. Mike.
Everyone's here.
Dean supporting us. Speaking of the agenda, I gotta blow it up so I can read it. Okay. Discussion and action on the agenda items from February 10th. Any comments, concerns?
I didn't see any problems with them. I would move to approve the minutes from February 10th.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from February 10th. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I love the time delay. Okay, so first action item, new business. Discuss, approve the bid received from Farner Asphalt in the amount of $168,505.90 for the 2020 street maintenance project. Anything you want to say about that, Mike?
So as you can see on the issue sheet, we received 3 bids from local companies. Farner Asphalt Sealers was considerably lower than the other 2. And staff is recommending approval of Farner Asphalt Sealers bid of $168,505.90.
And that's for it's a mix of crack filling, seal coating, and anything else you could say?
It's just a mix of crack filling, seal coating, trying to keep up with our recent road improvements, making sure that they stay in the best shape for as long as they can. So, after the approval, it's not on the agenda tonight, but it's a general discussion item. You know, we do have $230,000 budgeted in the CIP for road maintenance. You know, upon approval of this, we'll have approximately, $60,000 remaining in that fund. We'll have to have a discussion of what we want to try and use that money for, if we want to try and add to the project when they get into town, or maybe look at some alleyways. There's some, scat patching that can be done throughout the city. So, this is something that we'll have to have a discussion on here. I don't think we can do it tonight, but maybe on the next meeting we can put on the agenda.
That'd still be timely.
Well, the alleys might not be, just because of the process that we need to go through in order for, preliminary resolution, public hearing, so on and so forth for the assessment purposes. That's going to be tight unless that'll be challenging, to say the least, if we're going to do a full reconstruct on an alley.
So that being said, then, would it make sense to, I'm just thinking, if we have to put it on the next agenda, there still might be time to add it to this scope of work. Would that make any sense at all? Or does it have to go out for procurement?
So I guess it all depends on the alleys that we target, right? If we target alleys that are in better shape, we could maybe include a chip seal on an alley. The alleys that we're getting calls about are the ones that are in the worst shape, of course. So,
right.
Those are going to be like a mill and overlay or a complete pulverize and redo, where we're going to require, a separate bid on something like that. A mill and overlay, I don't think, in the assessment mill and overlay, we can't assess, if I recall. I think we can only assess complete reconstructs. So, there's that too, where we could do that type of work on some alleys and not have to go through the process to speed up the timeline.
Or another thing we could do with the street maintenance project money would just be find another street to seal coat or something, because we have plenty in town that kind of are in that condition range to do. So there's certainly a lot of things we could put that money towards.
Yeah. I mean, we were estimating, you know, between 210 about 225 for this project, and like I said, the bid came in substantially lower, which is good. You know, it's always good to get a low bid, so now we're able to do some other projects that we didn't have on our radar, you know, a couple months ago.
I think we should go ahead. I think we should go ahead and approve this one tonight, and then maybe add on if we need to do that later.
Mm-hmm.
So I would move to approve the low bid by Farner Asphalt Sealers.
For a second,
Second that. Sure, second.
been moved and seconded to approve the bid by Farner for our primary, call it that, street maintenance.
I'd like to ask one more question of Mike before we vote. Do you, you know, in my experience, when there's such a large variance in between the bids, you know, sometimes there's a reason, like, are they using the materials list that they've provided or with their bid or anything? Is there anything that jumps out to you as a concern? Because sometimes this could be like maybe very substandard materials, or, you know, there might be a reason, and I just wondered what your sense is on that.
Yeah, so I'm really comfortable with Farner Asphalt Seal, that company. I've done a lot of work with them in the past. They do good work. They use the appropriate materials that we spec out. Last year, they were a bidder on our 2019 street maintenance project, and they were underbid by a considerable amount by Aspect corporations. And I think because of that, they kind of sharpened their pencils a little bit and wanted our business back. And so that's why they threw in the number that they did, in my opinion. So I think that's the reason there is such a difference this year.
Okay.
So, yep.
Thank you.
Questions, sir? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And this goes to the council for review, is that correct?
Yep.
Item B, approve the bid from Monarch Paving in the amount of $468,391.11 for the Industrial Street and Stage Line Road Mill and Overlay Project.
Yeah, so this is another project that we had in the CIP. We had a bid opening on April 24th. Dean and I were the ones that attended. As you can see in the issue sheet, one bidder from Monarch Paving in the stated amount. It is within the engineer's estimate, the final total project cost. So staff is recommending approval of the bid from Monarch Paving Company. And we're here to answer any questions on, you know, the funding aspect, how to pay for it, where the funds are going to come from. We're happy to answer any of those questions.
Yeah, Mike, that was kind of my question. So if I'm reading this right, on the cost breakdown, tell me if I'm reading this incorrectly, but where it says water sanitary, 26,000, right?
Yep.
And it says funding source water sanitary, 30,000. So am I reading that right across, that we would have be about 3,600 over, something like that? But then on the next one where it says streets 490,000 and then the bonding is 405. So my question was, are we short on that portion of it? Are we down like 85,000 roughly on that piece, or how does that work?
Dean, why don't you answer that question?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch exactly what the question was.
So on that instance there, Paul?
On the issue sheet I'm talking about, Dean, sorry. Where it says cost breakdown and funding sources on the issue sheet.
Okay.
And then it says letter B where it says streets 490,599, right? And then it says bonding 405,000. Just what I was trying to figure out is it appears that we're underfunding that portion. I was trying to figure out where do we make up at 85,000 basically?
Sure. Yeah. So the 490,000 is before the assessments that get kind of deducted from that, and this is an assessable project. If you look at the second sheet there's on the very far right, kind of towards the bottom, there's a little box that says assessments, and it has a number of $87,284.56. that kind of, that should be added to the 405 to get you to the 490 number, or really, really close to it anyway.
Oh, gotcha. And
so that's where that extra money comes from.
it looks like you put an asterisk in there. It says estimated assessments from the engineer's report. So that's what you're referring to there. That's
yep. I missed that line there. Yep, that would have been easy to point to.
I wasn't sure if those went together or not, so that helps. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and if you go to that second page, the enclosure, the project totals column, on the bottom it has subtotal $468,391.11. That's what the bid was from Monarch.
Okay.
And you add in contingency, 10% contingency at $47,000. Get your total construction cost, and the engineering fees are on top of it for a total project cost of $592,791.11. So that's where the engineer's estimate was $600,523. So we're actually $7,000 below engineer's estimate, $8,000.
And we still have a 10% contingency on top of that. So if something we realized we needed to replace more curb, or we needed something came up that we hadn't anticipated, we still have that 10% left. And hopefully we won't use it, and that'll either not have to take out as many bonds, or carry forward to next year's project, or whatever. Same thing with engineering costs. We don't know exactly, what the engineering costs are going to be, but hopefully it'll be less than $77,000 between design and inspection stuff. So I feel pretty comfortable with the numbers we got. I was pleasantly surprised with one bid. Usually kind of get nervous about that they're going to be really high or something like that, but they came in pretty much right on what I expected. So I was happy to see that.
Okay. That helps. I would move to approve the bid to Monarch Paving Company for that project.
I'll second that. I did have one more curiosity about the fact that we only received one bid. Were we, is there a reason why you think we only received one bid?
Yeah, so it's kind of we're in a unique spot here in western Wisconsin. So Monarch Paving is kind of the only game in town right now. I did reach out to some companies across the river to see if they would come over here and bid the project. I didn't really receive much response from them, but I'm hoping to, within the next year or so, to see if I can make some inroads and getting some more interest in coming across the river. I know, Twin Cities obviously has a lot of work going on anyway, so it's they don't always have to, look for extra work and that kind of thing. But I think it'd be really nice for us to have a keep Monarch on their toes kind of thing. Just not even to make sure they're doing a good job or whatever, but also it's just kind of nice to have more than one, just to keep everybody honest, and it's nice to see more faces around. So working on it, I guess, is the moral of the story.
Yeah, I think it would be great. In my experience, it's nice to always have three bids to compare. If you need to throw one out because it's unrealistically low, it's nice to have a couple others in the lineup. So
I would agree with that. Yeah, it's really nice to have a few to pick from if something went south with the first one. So
I guess the only comment or question I have is, can we just describe the project from where to where on industrial and stage line? What are the limits of the project?
Mm-hmm.
So the industrial street portion of the project is from Crestview Drive to Hanley Road.
Oh, okay. So the entire piece. All right.
Yep, for the most part. And the stage line portion is from Carmichael to the roundabout at the hospital there. So that's the project limits.
Okay. All right. It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion to approve this bid? Hearing none. Call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, can I do a point of information?
Sure.
Can somebody just screen share the agenda with us? Because there's going to be a lot of details as we go through it. I think it's going to be easier having it on our screen. I can throw it up there if you want me to do it, or if somebody else feels more comfortable. I think it'll be easier than just flipping back and forth between like Zoom and the agenda.
Yeah, I've got the agenda up on my phone. I got my PC on my iPad on my lap and
Do
using.
you want me just to screen share? Is that okay?
That'd be fine. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that, and then it'll be up there for all of us to see. So, okay. So I think this is the next thing coming up here. You guys can see that, okay?
Yep.
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So this is kind of a biggie. Approve the Vine Street and Carmichael Road temporary build-out plans submitted by Bolton and Mink. Dean, you want to give us a thumbnail on this one?
Sure. So these plans are in regards to the interim improvements as a part of the Bella Rose development, which, as everybody knows, at the southwest corner of Vine and Carmichael. We, requiring these improvements to be made to access the site safely and efficiently, right? So in order to do that, we need, to add turn lanes at the intersections into the development and that kind of thing. And then also with the additional traffic generated by the development, there's some improvements made to the intersection at Vine and Carmichael as well. So obviously we don't have to go through all the details of the plan, but
Just highlight the pieces that we're going to be.
Yeah, I was going to look at the intersection.
So,
Let me stop.
yeah, sorry, go back one more page up. Okay, so maybe we'll start here at this page. This is the Vine Street construction limits. Actually, this is a removal plan. This isn't the construction plan. But you can kind of see where the limits are for it. So Vine Street is going to be completely reconstructed from Carmichael Road westward to just past the lift station. So I believe it's about 900 feet or something like that. It's getting reconstructed. The road is going to get raised up about 3 feet at the lowest point, so there won't be so much of a valley as you go through there. This sheet probably isn't the best to show this, but there also will be a trail constructed on the north side. Yeah, keep scrolling, Paul. Oh, actually, right there. Yeah, that's perfect. So what Paul has up here right now is at the intersection of Vine Street and Annabelle Way, which is the access to the site on the north end of the Bella Rose site. You can see on the north is up in this picture. So on the north edge of the road is a 10-foot off-street trail, shared use path, that is separated from the curb area by, I believe it's 8 or so feet, if I remember correctly. So a healthy buffer between vehicle traffic and anybody who's walking or biking along that trail, which is much better than if you head west from there. The trails are on the back of the curb and there's no buffer and it's not as nice, quite honestly. So,
Well, Dean, does that trail go? Would that trail would go right in front of Faith Community Church? Am I thinking right?
No, this is on the north side.
yeah, so this is Vine Street right here that you have up.
I'm sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
I was thinking Carmichael. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so on the top of the screen here is like the vacant county property that's like, it kind of looks like a wetland right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And on the bottom of the screen is the Bella Rose development itself. So.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yep. At the intersection with Annabelle Way, we added some traffic calming median islands to calm traffic through there to keep people hopefully going at the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. Any little bit helps with the breaking up the drag race going through there, so we had those added.
Dean, is there a reason why this island needs to be this thick here? I don't know if you can see the cursor.
Yeah, I see the cursor. Yeah, thanks, Paul. So the island is that thick because we wanted to pinch people down as much as we could while still being plowable, because it's called passive traffic calming, I guess you could say, where the more constricted your environment is, the slower you proceed through it. And so that's the idea behind having the median as wide as it is. And also on the west side, the median doesn't have a turn lane involved with it because there's nowhere to turn to going left, right? So on the east side, there is a turn lane. So you can see the median is a lot narrower on the east side, but that's because there is a turn lane there to get into the development. So it's kind of a little bit of balancing across the intersection and also slowing people down driving through there. And we did, I did confer with Mike to make sure that that's wide enough for their plow trucks. And if you can kind of see the angle of the island there too, to hopefully minimize the amount of times the plow truck will clip kind of the end of the island and all that good stuff. So.
And can you tell me how much, so this is interim, right? This is just an interim project. So how much of this will get deconstructed down the road? Do we know?
Yeah, so actually the improvements on Vine Street are more permanent, I guess.
Okay.
It's more the Carmichael stuff is interim just because of the expansion and all that good stuff. So really, if you look at Vine Street, it should be here for quite a while, I would think, unless we reconstructed the entire Vine Street corridor or something like that to a different type of roadway or something. But barring that, this is probably what it will look like for quite a while from now on Vine Street.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Then
Yeah, so Paul, if you scroll down, yeah, thank you. So that is, didn't realize.
I was going to try to get to the intersection piece.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Keep going.
That's the same one we just did.
That's the same one we just did, yep. Okay, so yeah, here we go, Paul. If you stop there and maybe hand to the right a little bit there.
Okay.
So now we're starting, you can see on the right-hand part of the screen there, the intersection with Carmichael Road and Vine Street. So you can see that the road, Vine Street, is getting reconstructed all the way up to Carmichael Road. What we don't see on this sheet is that there are some modifications to the signal system that are going to be made. The developer is actually designing the extra turn lane on the north end of the intersection there. So right now, if you are coming from up by the middle school and coming towards Vine Street on Carmichael Road, there isn't a left turn lane provided. And so that is being added. It's just not shown in this plan set because it's in the developer's plan set for that addition. And then involved with that is that we're adding a left turn arrow as well for the southbound left turn onto, I guess, County UU heading out of town as well. So that will help traffic operations and safety for everybody involved out here. You can also see too in the northwest corner how the trail kind of interacts with the intersection. We pulled the trail away from the intersection to give some more space to mingle, so to speak, and line things up better with the trails across the way. There is a trail on the south side of Vines, on the west side of Carmichael Road. You can see it approaching there. This ties into, so that trail is part of the developer's plan as well. So that will be constructed with the development too. Any questions about that intersection right now? Now that we're here.
Yeah, we're starting the right turn onto Carmichael. That lane is starting much earlier.
Yes, thanks, Jim. We are extending that right turn lane westward quite a bit. So right now it's only about 100 feet long, and we're extending it to be about 250 feet or so long. So that should really help, especially, I think it was in the morning that movement is a big problem. So that
Yes.
should really help that out.
Great.
You want me to keep scrolling, Dean?
Yeah, sure. Let's get to the Carmichael Road. Yep, starting here. So this sheet, you're starting to look at the Carmichael Road improvements, and like we were getting at before, these improvements on Carmichael Road are interim. So at some point in time, whenever we rebuilt Carmichael Road, this stuff would, for the most part, go away, just because the rebuild would likely be to a bigger roadway section and whatnot. So and right now there's no like storm sewer or curb and gutter out on Carmichael Road, and we felt that it wasn't worth adding that at this point just to get torn up later with the expansion. So we left it as what we call a rural section, but like ditches and gravel shoulders and stuff like that. So you can see the north is to the right on this sheet and south is to the left. The Bella Rose development is on the top of the sheet, and the Faith Community Church property is on the bottom of the sheet. You can see how the addition onto the west side is where the expansion of the roadway is happening, because that is where the development site is, and it made the most sense to keep it over there. And we developed the appropriate tapers and all that good stuff so that we could add in a left turn lane into the development, kind of using where the existing southbound through lane is right now.
Dean, how much of the interim reconstruct, would any of that be saved for the permanent, or do you have to rip the whole thing up when you do the permanent?
It's a good question. It's a little bit dependent on what ends up happening with the permanent reconstruct. Obviously, we don't have a final design on that kind of thing. We do have a preliminary design, but that's preliminary, so it's subject to change. We also, while we were just doing the utility work out there, and we found that the pavement thickness on the road right now is like not very thick, and we weren't intending to make it. We're intending just to match the pavement that was out there, and so we're kind of we anticipate when we rebuild Carmichael Road, it's going to be to accommodate a truck pavement section kind of thing too. So I anticipate honestly that a lot of this is not really going to be able to be salvaged for the complete reconstruct. We did try to line up the curb at Sophia Lane to make sure that was in the right spot and whatnot for the future. But as far as the expansion to the west that you're seeing on this right now, that probably will go away in the future.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Paul, if you want to scroll down a little bit more, go back up. Sorry. Right there. Thank you. You can see on the left side of the sheet there, that's a Sophia Lane intersection of Carmichael Road. That's the access into the development off of Carmichael Road. You can see on the sheet as well the left and right turn lanes added at the intersection on Carmichael Road. We obviously wanted the right turn lane in there to access the development, but we also wanted to add the left turn lane in there to help access into the church as well.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we'll get to this when we talk about the build grant for Carmichael Road here, but I was going through the crash analysis, and there's a fair amount of crashes that have been out there for people turning into the church, so this will really help keep those to a minimum because we're adding a turn lane out there. So I know the church has appreciated it, or when we've talked to them about it, they've been appreciative of having that turn lane there. So yeah, and then scroll back up one more sheet there, Paul. Right there, thank you. So you can kind of see how it tapers back into the existing road on Carmichael Road, so that by the time you get to Vine Street, the pavement on Carmichael Road is essentially back to what it is right now. Yeah. Any questions on the Carmichael Road expansion part there?
I think it makes sense, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. great.
I was going to ask about this part here, Dean.
Yeah.
So here's my question is over
Yeah.
here, can you see the cursor on the right here kind of?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So this has right-hand turn, this has straight ahead. Is this supposed to be left-hand turn here, or is that the lane coming in here?
Yeah, that's supposed to be where that rectangle is that you're kind of hovering over. That's where the left turn lane is. That rectangle is a loop detector for the signal, and so in order to not be on like a arrow on top of the loop detector symbol, they took the arrow off. But yeah, that's where the left turn lane is. And there is one out there right now, so that would be staying as is essentially.
Okay, good, because I just wanted to make sure we get that from all directions, and it seems like
Yep.
we have that minimally from all directions under this.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
I guess a general question is, are we improving the corners? It looks to me like they're a gentler curve, that they so they're easier to turn around. Some of them are kind of tight right now.
Yeah.
Thing.
I haven't seen the truck turns themselves, but Bolton and Mink knows the types of traffic that are out here, and I mean, just looking at it, to me, it looks like they've considered that there are bigger trucks that take these turns, and so it should hold up to that.
At this point, there's not going to be any curb and gutter. When a question related to this intersection, though, is when is the developer going to be doing his work? Is it going to coincide, or?
Are you talking about for the internal streets or for?
For the Vine and Carmichael intersection, the work that they're going to be doing.
Yeah, this will all coincide together. The developer's contractor will be constructing all these improvements, so it'll all be flowing together, yeah.
Okay.
And then, Dean, my question on, can you see my cursor here again above
Yep.
Vine Street? So this is the trail, right? Am I correct
Yep.
here? And then you would cross, am I right? You would cross this down here in front of the development along Carmichael?
Correct, yep.
And then does it also extend, does it extend across the intersection, or does it extend up here?
There are trails on both of those axes right now. So if you where your cursor is right now on the northeast corner there is a trail that comes in that way as well. And then on the west side of Carmichael, there is I guess you could call it a trail. It's a really narrow kind of thing right up next to the curb that we'd be connecting into both of those facilities with this.
Right.
Yep.
I'm just thinking like kids going to school, right, to the middle school or to the elementary, you want them to cross, sounds like you'd want them to cross over here if they had to, and then they'd cross on this side, which is good because the schools are
Yep.
on that side, right?
Yeah, that would be ideal. It's a nicer path, a bigger path on the east side, so I think that most people are going to be wanting to use that, especially when they, see we made these improvements, so it's a lot nicer to get across the street here too. So
Yeah. And then is there a trail on this side on the east side of Carmichael here too?
not south of Vine Street, no.
Okay.
I agree that there's a nicer trail on the east side of Carmichael, but there's a better crossing down further on the other side of the government building. So that's kind of a mix as to what we think we'll find out what they're going to do. We may have to. I'm always concerned about people crossing and people turning at that corner.
So Jimmy, you think they would come by here and then go north and they'd cross over by the government center, you're saying?
I think it's going to be a mix. I'm not sure what they're going to do.
Okay.
Kids will probably do this. Parents will probably want them to go on up.
Okay.
So there's going to be a better crossing. I think there's signage coming in there. Some new signage.
I didn't get that. Could you try
Okay.
again?
Hello?
Hey, you want to keep going down here?
Yeah, keep going. A lot of these sheets are just traffic signal mumbo jumbo you probably don't want to know about.
This was kind of like reading a foreign language to me.
Yeah, no, you certainly don't have to know everything that goes through this. But if there are any questions about traffic signal stuff, I'd be happy to answer them. But not everybody is interested in that kind of thing.
So I do have a question that's not necessarily related to the temporary one, but it could
Yeah.
play in a little bit later. Is just, I don't know how this works with the amount of traffic that we would have in Vine and Carmichael, but would like a roundabout be possible in that area or smart, or is that just not going to work with the traffic volumes?
You know, a roundabout, I haven't done the traffic analysis on this intersection, so I don't know exactly what the right answer is on that question, but I think we would consider a roundabout for like the full build type improvements, but with this project and the scope of it, it honestly is kind of hard to make a developer, rebuild the entire intersection with something else.
And I wasn't thinking that we would do that for the temporary, but what I was that's why I was asking about, like, if we can build the final, if the final is going to be related to the temporary at all, if it's going to be the X or if it would be a roundabout. That's the only thing I was thinking.
Yeah. So if and we'll probably talk about this in the build grant thing, but if the intersection was a roundabout, we wouldn't have to tear up too much of Vine Street to be able to make that work either. It would just be, we'd have to add a let's call it splitter island. There's enough pavement width in there that it should work out fine without having to get too wild and crazy about reconstructing stuff there. So,
okay, I'm good with the temporary plan, so I would move to approve at this point.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item, discussion of possible, this is nice, Paul. Discussion.
That was helpful.
Yeah, I'm liking this. Discussion of possible action on the 2020 sidewalk curb and gutter replacement program. Michael.
Yes.
What would you like to say?
So last year we performed the sidewalk inventory, and now with Dean on board, we're diving into that inventory and we're repairing a lot of the sidewalks that were identified as the highest hazard. So him and I basically took a part of town, kind of the downtown area, just kind of starting with that. We walked around and looked at the map and found the locations and put down the address, so on and so forth, and marked those sidewalks for replacement. On top of that, we also identified some curb and gutter and some sidewalk in the downtown area that we want to fix this summer before the Highway 35 construction begins next year, just because we don't want to have to go in after the fact and tear up the curb, so on and so forth, replace it in a couple of years. So we included that in on the plan as well. And then, as you can see, we had, if we didn't have to be home with COVID and all this jazz, we would have had everything a nice, pretty map that Dean kind of made. So half of the project is in map form, then the other half is in Excel form. It's a goal to try and get everything in the map form for the council meeting to make it look a lot prettier. And then the other thing that I want to point out is I did a shift map of Vine Street Square. It's 1005 Vine Street. It's a city-owned parkland between basically 9th and 11th Street. On the north side of the park, there is no curb and gutter, as we see, and we have a lot of washout of the shoulders, so on and so forth, rock going into the park. So I included all new curb and gutter along the parkland to collect the water and funnel it to the appropriate catch basin, which is kind of on the west side of the map there. So with all that being said, basically we're looking for approval of the plan tonight from the Public Works Committee to forward on to the council, where we would draft a preliminary resolution as sidewalk replacement is 50% accessible to the adjoining property owner.
Mike, I have a question on the Vine Street one, because I was driving up there a few days ago to look at that, and I wasn't sure what you meant by 1005, but is that, a lot of that curb and gutter is pretty brand new still, right? Is this the point that's just off of that? Is that what you're thinking?
So, yep, Vine Street was replaced, was last year. And so this is actually on the north side of the park. So you got Vine Street, and then the street directly north of Vine Street is Cole Street. There's actually, there's no curb and gutter on Cole Street, so I'm looking to add curb and gutter on Cole Street.
Okay.
Yep. So we wouldn't be tearing anything up on Vine.
Okay, and then my other questions have to do with the parking lot sections on Williams and the north lot too. Just my thoughts are that Williams, we're putting out this request for proposal, right, for July to be looking at some of the properties up there in regard to the old fire hall. So my question with Williams is this, that do we want to invest and do a lot of work there where, you know, who knows, in a year or two, that whole thing could be redone or something like that? Would it be smarter to maybe put it into an area at least where we think it's a little more permanent maybe?
Yeah, so the sidewalk that Williams is referring to is actually the sidewalk and apron adjacent to 2nd Street. It's that Harbor lot, that little extension just to the south side of the dentistry building.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
down right off of 2nd Street you're talking about.
Yeah, we're not touching any of the sidewalk by the fire hall.
Okay, that's what I was thinking about. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the north lot, that's different than the north lot, you're saying?
So the north lot would also be along 2nd Street as well. Correct, Dean? Or if you go up, mark something else on Vine Street, adjacent to the north.
No, it's exactly right, Mike. It's a part of the driveway apron essentially of the north lot onto 2nd Street. So it's just north of Wells Fargo. So it's all the stuff that's identified on 2nd Street, the north lot and the Williams lot are all along 2nd Street, and we just want to do that before the state's project comes through and construct stuff, and we don't want to go back in there later and have to be cutting up brand new pavement and all that kind of stuff to do this replacement work. So that's what the intention of most of this was.
And what I liked about it, I looked at a lot of these on Saturday. I just kind of drove around it and tried to see them. But I like that they're really well-used streets, especially the downtown ones. And that's kind of a central part of the city. So I think it makes a lot of sense to start there with this plan. So I think you guys did a nice job putting that together.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, if you also, I think the aerials are attached after the spreadsheet, if I recall correctly.
Yep. They are. Yeah.
Yep. So all those spots, they're kind of all in the, I'll call it the historic Hudson area. All those spots are just trying to hit the most hazardous tripping hazards that were identified in the sidewalk inventory. So obviously there's much more sidewalk in town that could be replaced than these, but we wanted to kind of felt that tripping hazards are kind of the worst thing to have to deal with. So we wanted to really get a lot of those taken care of so that nobody is falling on our sidewalks, and then we obviously have a liability issue or could have like that.
Yep.
So,
some of those are really big too. There's like an inch or something that was about that.
Well,
I would move to approve the plan.
I'll second that.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve this plan. Any more discussion? I've got a couple things.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Noticing today, thinking and your comments about Cole Street behind the Parkland, is that on 17th Street between Ward and Cooley, by the Goodwill store there is no curb and gutter there, and that's always a mess. So mud holes on one side, and I don't know what's been going on. Some kind of utility work has been going on there for 2 years, and that's always torn up. That's also a place where a right turn lane would be an awesome addition, because it's wide enough if people pull if making left turns pull to the center, but they don't. So, and that's a major, well, that's a major east, north-south route. So there's a lot of traffic goes there and catch on the on ramp just down the street. So that's something I don't know where that fits. I don't think we'd want to put a curb in there now if we could possibly think about putting a turn lane in there later. So just put that one in the repository, Mike, of things we can possibly do in the future. The other thing is, and you mentioned this, that you used this plan that we spent money on getting a study of the streets and the curbs and gutters and everything we need replaced. I'd put that in the background. Some people this may be all I read about this thing if I wasn't on it. But putting that in there, we pulled this, we used this thing that we had done last year to lead. I think that would be I think it's really valuable. I'm really glad we're doing it, and I think it would be great to make sure that that's available.
Yeah, and the great thing about that plan is now that we have the GIS position, once these projects are completed, especially with the sidewalk inventory, we can give him the locations. He can go into that plan and alter the data. So it's an up-to-date plan that we can constantly change and update so that we know where we stand each and every year, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be great. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Moved and approved. What's next, Paul? Going on down.
All right, here we go. LOE, it looks like, for Bolton and Mink.
Yeah, so as you probably are aware, there's a developer who is looking to develop what we call the Carmichael Ridge commercial development, so to speak, which involves extending Ward Avenue and Annabelle Way kind of through that development. So there's obviously a roadway to be built, utilities to be extended through there. They are looking to construct that road this summer, I believe. We don't have final plans yet, so that's why they're not attached here for review. I know council has discussed with the approval for the development or whatnot, certain things that have to be in the plan and whatnot. So we're not talking about that tonight. So this is really just approving Bolton and Mink to be our on-site engineer to make sure the improvements are installed correctly. So,
is this something, or is this going to end up being paid for by the city, or is this going to be reimbursed by the developer?
Directly billed to the developer.
I like to hear that.
It's always nice when we don't have to pay for something, right?
I didn't realize that was Annabelle Way, and that's the road like right behind Culver's there. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So Annabelle Way, if you look at the roundabout right now, kind of behind Culver's there's a stub to the south of road for the future, and that's where this project would connect to. And then essentially it would turn it, Ward Avenue would kind of tee into Annabelle Way. It's easier to describe when we would have a plan set in front of us to talk about it. But yeah, so Annabelle would get extended south and Ward would get extended west to service development.
I think it makes sense. I think I would move to approve the LOE for Bolton and Mink.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the LOE for Bolton and Mink to deal with for engineering services related to Ward Avenue extension. Any further discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
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 Motion carries.
All right, so the next item, discussion on bill grant for Carmichael Road full build. This item was on the council agenda to approve a proposal from SEH to help us out with this bill grant, but we wanted to bring the item to Public Works Committee to talk about the bill grant itself to get a little more specific, I guess, into what we're pursuing here. So we're pursuing a federal bill grant to assist with construction activities related to the full build out of Carmichael Road from Interstate 94 to the north side of the county government center. So this is where we are talking about the permanent full build stuff. So ignoring what's happening at Bella Rose for now, this is the full deal here. We have a preliminary layout that was attached, and that's what is so big of a size on this agenda here that I attached in case we have any specifics as to any questions as to what the corridor could look like in the future. I wanted to tonight just talk through some things that we want to include in the bill grant, high expense and high benefit items that would be helpful to identify up front so that in case we did get the grant, we're not scratching our heads later and said, oh, we should have thought about this when we asked for money for this project because now it's another $2 million. Now the city has to pay for that $2 million because we didn't get a grant funding for it. So I wanted to brainstorm and make sure that we have our ducks in a row for what we want this project to potentially look like in the future. So I guess maybe it would make sense just to go through the layout and kind of show everybody what the layout looks like and discuss things related to it. Does that make sense? Maybe?
Yes.
Sorry, go back up a little bit. So the layout itself is divided because the corridor is very long. The layout's broken into two halves essentially. So stop there, Paul. Oops.
Whoops.
Yeah, I think it's probably just lagging scrolling because of this file size. Sorry.
Okay. I'm way ahead. Sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't realize it was a picture, and that's why it couldn't. It's loading it. Okay.
Okay, so stop right there, maybe.
Okay.
Let it load. Okay, scroll up just a little bit more. Yeah, right there is probably good. Oh, a little bit more. I was thinking of it, I should have just had it up and done it myself too, so I didn't have to rely on you to be scrolling.
You want to see this, I think, right?
Okay, so scroll left and we'll start at the southernmost end of the corridor here.
And this is Carmichael here.
Yep. So while Paula is continuing to scroll left, I'll just say that this layout north is to the right and south is to the left. So the west side is up, which would be like towards Target and Culver's. That side of the road is up, and the non-developed currently side is on the bottom of the screen.
Is this Annabelle here or cutting?
That's the Walgreens entrance right there.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So we call the Walgreens entrance anyway. Just keep scrolling to the left there. We'll get there.
I didn't realize how large it was.
Yeah. Okay, right there. Right there is good. But maybe a little bit to the right again.
Okay. What intersection is that there, Dean?
Okay, so this is Cooley Road right here.
Okay.
So currently, you can kind of see underneath what's there today versus the on top is what's proposed, kind of thing. So when SEH put this together, they kind of laid on the line work for to connect to what the state's proposed design was for the interchange improvements to the south or to the left of the screen here. So that's kind of why you see the lanes floating and nowhere on the west side there. That would get connected into the existing layout on the south end of the corridor. So just so you know what's going on there. So with the full build-out project, what we would be looking to do is, at least as of right now, the design is to make improvements to the Cooley Road intersection here. There'd be an extra through lane headed south and a right turn lane added. In the future, the ramp is getting realigned into this intersection from westbound 94. But for now, the frontage road will still be there, so there will still be a connection to the frontage road with the project.
Dean, what's happening here where the cursor is kind of on the right?
With the project as we would construct it, there would be a left turn lane provided there because the frontage road will still be there. In the distant future, when WSDOT decides to improve the interchange, the frontage road won't connect in there anymore, and so there won't be a reason to turn left there in the future.
Okay.
So that's why there's not one shown there, but there would be a left turn lane with this project at the intersection there.
Do you want me to scroll right?
Yeah, well, actually, let's just hang out here for just a second. Is there any other questions for the Cooley Road intersection, what we'd be looking for there?
Go ahead, Sarah.
I'm curious about the on-ramp. Is it the westward on-ramp that won't be tight? Where is that going to be located?
Yeah, so in the future, when WSDOT does their improvements, the ramp coming from westbound 94, the off ramp to get to Carmichael Road. So say you're coming from Eau Claire and you're getting off at the Carmichael Road interchange, the ramp will kind of feed you right into the Cooley Road intersection instead of to the south where it is right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the frontage road will get realigned into Hillcrest Drive to the north there as well. So that's kind of where the confusion is probably right now. I will add that I would add to this design that we'll probably get rid of that what we call pork chops at the intersection, the free right turns, because they have a high incidence of crashes for cars. Well, I didn't see any pedestrian crashes, but they are bad for pedestrian safety as well. So I would be getting rid of those, or proposing to get rid of those as well, and just replace them with standard turn lanes.
I'm sorry, what are we getting rid of? How's it changing?
So if you see Paul's cursor there, those triangle concrete islands that are out there right now.
Move your cursor, Paul. I'm not seeing.
It's right here on the right. Maybe I can highlight it.
There you go. Okay. So how's that?
You can't see them. They're those triangle concrete islands that are out there right now.
Right.
So I would like to see those gone because people tend to turn at high rates of speed around those and aren't looking for pedestrians or other vehicles oftentimes. So anyway, just to point that out there.
Yeah, that's a really scary point to be a pedestrian or bicyclist right there. Even though you may have the sign may say you can walk, it's very tricky. And there's a high crash incidence, especially that one coming off of Cooley Road. There's a lot of crashes that happen there. So.
And then, Dean, would you maintain like a island here for pedestrians in the middle here?
Yeah, we would. I guess I don't really know why SH didn't draw the whole intersection here. We would continue the island and then have a crossing there as well as there is today. there isn't really a sidewalk on the east side of the road, which is at the bottom of your screen to connect to, but we would at least provide the crossing there in case anybody wants to do that movement there too.
Okay.
And is there a pathway on that upper on the very top
Yeah,
side?
so yep, on the top side that there is a trail drawn in as well. So we would be providing it. I believe they have a 10-foot wide trail there, and then on the bottom of the screen, the east side of the road, there would be a sidewalk as well on the east side of the road.
And Dean, just to clarify, that 10-foot trail goes all the way up to Vine Street, correct?
Yeah, up to and past Vine Street. Yep.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. So thanks, Paul. Yeah, let's just camp out right here for a second. This is what I call the Walgreens access, but so Walgreens is to the top right of the screen here. So right now there's it's full access at this intersection, and because of the intersection spacing along the corridor, we'd like to limit the access to this intersection to either be what's called right in, right out, which is what's shown here, which would mean you can't turn left from the side streets or go straight from the side street across the intersection, but instead you have to turn right. So there is a fairly high amount of angle crashes that are happening at this intersection, especially for the amount of traffic that it sees. So this would reduce that crash history as well.
Yeah.
Is this a median here in between, or
That would be a median there in between. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So if you're heading northbound and you want to go to that shopping center or Walgreens, you would actually have to go up to Hillcrest, which is the next intersection to the north, take a left, go around the roundabout, and access it from the backside off the new Ward Avenue extension.
Yep. So right now, the Annabelle Way doesn't go through to this development, but if we did these improvements, we would punch Annabelle Way through to connect to the backside of that access, and so there would be access still for those like Walgreens and the strip mall and whatnot that's there from the backside essentially. So
can you say that again? So if I was leaving Walgreens after shopping at Walgreens or whatever, and I want to go north, the best way for me to leave Walgreens will be to go behind it?
Yeah, you could. Yep. So you could either go behind Walgreens, or in Walgreens' case, you can go through the Culver's parking lot to get to Hillcrest too. But either one of those. Yep.
Okay.
So camp out here for just a second. This is the intersection with Hillcrest Drive. So you can see that there's a lot more turn lanes and stuff provided here than what's here today. And that's in regards to the fact that, development on the east side, any development would likely use this intersection to access Carmichael Road for the most part. That being said, I haven't looked to see if this could be a roundabout or not. That's certainly a possibility here too. Right now they've got it drawn up as if there were a traffic signal here with lots of turn lanes. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Dean, there's a annexation request at that intersection or at that area. Does that have any effect, or we're already conceptually planning on that traffic?
I guess I don't know the specifics to the annexation request in this case, but this would be kind of holistically looking as if like essentially the east side of the corridor is getting developed.
Okay.
And also the frontage road will eventually get plowed into there too. So
okay, so that'll take care of that.
Yep.
Okay.
As we continue kind of northward here, this is Deer Haven Drive. we would just add turn lanes to access there.
What are the lines?
The red lines are additional right-of-way that's needed to construct the road as shown.
From the black long dash.
No, from the green, I believe, lines. I think the green lines are the existing property lines right now. There's some weird right-of-way out here right now too, so that the green lines may not be exactly correct as what's actually out there right now. So that's for what it's worth. So this access that you have shown here now, this is to the what we call the Gagnon property. That's kind of between Holiday Inn and the Bella Rose development that's being constructed right now. So we would be limiting access to that development off to just this one access off of Carmichael Road rather than letting them just access wherever. So that's for the future, essentially. So this, now we're getting into, on the bottom is the Faith Community Church. This is their southernmost parking lot access point. So we would convert that just to right in, right out. So you can't turn across there. So hopefully less conflicts there as well.
Is there an exit? That's indicating an exit lane being built?
There would be a right turn lane in, and then you would be able to turn right out of there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, if you scroll down and then to the left, it continues. Sorry.
I was gonna say, it won't let me go to the right anymore here.
Sure. Yep.
That's one of the issues in that area is getting the cars making right turns.
Yep.
When they're busy, they back up.
Yep. Scroll up and to the left now.
I'm going to wait for the picture to come back because I don't know where
Sure.
she went. Trouble loading, I think, or something.
You should see the paper copy. It's like 15 feet long. We use up 2 conference tables when we roll it out.
I want to wallpaper my house with it. So this is what you want, Dean, or
Keep going. Go all the way to the left.
all the way left? Okay.
Yep. Okay, stop right there. That's pretty much where we were before. So now scroll to the right as we continue going here.
Oh, I see. This is the church lot here.
Yep.
Okay.
There we go. So this is the new intersection of Sophia Lane. Sophia Lane is on the top of the screen. The main church entrance is to the bottom there. So this would be a controlled intersection in the future. So that's taken care of there. And if you continue scrolling right northward.
You got 4 lanes here, which is really nice. A left, a right, and 2 straight ahead.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle there.
All right, stop right there. Sorry. So in the northmost entrance to the church, we're also putting in a left turn lane to turn into the parking lot. You could get out of the parking lot by turning right, but not left into the street there. So,
Okay.
So I'll let you know that. And then if you scroll, northward there, this is the intersection of Vine Street. So you can see that Carmichael Road obviously will get expanded to Vine Street. Essentially, the layout stays similar, and you can kind of see that. If you continue to scroll right,
Dean, is this wider than the temporary one we were just talking about?
Correct. Yep.
So you have additional lanes. You got 2 going forward in here instead of 1. It looks like.
Yep, on both sides.
On both sides. Okay.
There's the access into what I call the Keys Cafe parking lot. So they'll provide a turn lane for them there too. Keep scrolling right.
Does this mean an island here, or is that just like striped? Like
I'm not exactly sure what they intended, if that was a concrete island or if that was stripes. Could be either, probably.
Okay.
Yep. So this intersection is the south Government Center intersection and Grandview Park. So you can see how that realigns as well. We're also starting to kind of neck the Carmichael Road roadway section down, so it's transitioning from 4 lanes eventually to 2 lanes. So just so you know, 3 lanes provided there.
Can I ask a question on that one?
Yeah.
That last intersection? So, because of the park, are there going to be crosswalks? Or they're just not, this isn't part of that? Or crosswalks aren't part of this part of conversation? Or?
I would imagine that we will have crosswalks there. It's kind of I would think it's kind of a detail at this point, but yeah, I would intend on putting them there because it would access the park right there. Yeah. So that's the North Government Center access, and then you can see at the right of the screen there is where the project ends, right at the trail crossing across there, right where the trail crosses right now. So that's the entire corridor as it currently stands. The design, like I said, this is preliminary and definitely subject to change. I just wanted to run through with you guys to, kind of identify if there's anything missing in this that would be helpful to identify for what we're desiring for this corridor to be, that we should include in the application. Just to make sure we're not missing anything while we have the opportunity to ask for money for it. So,
can we include possibly a widening of the trail that does go north from Vine Street on the west side of Carmichael?
Yeah, we didn't touch on that, but I believe that the project layout does show that trail's getting reconstructed and it would be widened to 10 feet as well.
Okay, great.
And then, that trail right now is not very nice, so we would definitely be looking to make that better.
It's just a basic work. On the north side, sorry, get my direction straight, on the east side of Carmichael, south of Vine Street.
Yep.
Do we have a sidewalk there or anything planned there?
Yes, we do show a sidewalk there in the design, yep, all the way down the corridor.
Okay.
My only thought, Dean, is it ends right before the school. Would it make sense to run it right up to the school there, that entrance?
Just extend it north right to the entrance up there.
Well, you're getting real close, but I'm thinking, you got all the bus traffic and school traffic, so it seems like it almost chokes it off right before you get to the school. And it seems like if you had this wider by the time you hit the school, that helps for peak traffic hours, morning and after school.
Okay.
I don't know, it's just a thought.
Yeah.
I agree, Paul. We need to at least take a look at that and consider that this is the time to do that. I'm always a little surprised when this comes up and we've stopped it where we did. Why we don't go up and take care of the school issues.
Yes, Dean, any thoughts on that, or do we have a reason why it stopped here as opposed to going to the school?
Well, it does stop at the trail crossing, so it's a little bit north of there. But what we could do with it is we could assume that the second lane kind of goes up to the school entrance and then drops into the right turn lane for the school. So essentially be reconstructing up to and including the southmost school entrance.
I think you'd want to go to whatever the buses are using to get in there. I think that would be the thing to go to. Or maybe we have to talk with the school district or something to see it. But I think that would help us in the long run if that's wider all the way to that school entrance.
Okay, I'll make a note of that to check.
I'll throw my 2 cents in on that too. If we go up to the 4-way stop sign at the middle school entrance there, we could, there's a lot of issues with pedestrian crossing, school crossing. You could probably somehow incorporate it into the build grant where, this is a direct thing you need at the school intersection, so on and so forth. And then past that intersection, I don't think you get the traffic counts to go to the city limits, because then the city limits is another, 600 feet before you reach the city limits. I don't think we need to go past that intersection, but up to that point, it'd be wise to do so now.
Right. I think it helps for a grant if you can involve the school, just a big picture. And then I also think it helps for safety, because I know there's a person, when I drop my daughter off at this middle school, there's a person that just physically has to come in and be like a school patrol kind of thing. But that could definitely be improved if we, thought about it with this upgrade kind of.
Yeah. Maybe the school would want to take a look at how they do that. Right now, they've got these temporary barriers that they're using to guide traffic. It's kind of, you can tell they've tried to put something together without moving any concrete. Mm-hmm. And maybe if we would going to extend that, I think, Mike, I was going to agree with you on not going past that, but if you think about traffic coming south from there, the possibility of a turn lane into the school might be useful. I'm never up there, so I never come from that direction at the peak times. But that might be worth talking to the school about. What would they see it? What would improve things in that area? Because there's no room, as I remember, there's no room to get by unless you pull into you pull off onto the edge of the road and start going around traffic, which is not good for pedestrians. So we should take a look at that. But that's a really good point I would think, for the grant, if we're at that safety and at the school area.
What is the committee's initial reaction to roundabouts on this corridor? I know it's been thrown out in years past at the Vine and Carmichael intersection. Dean just said something about Hillcrest intersection. Is that something that the committee wants to consider, or have us do some more investigating, or just kind of keep the corridor all lit intersections to stay consistent? I guess, that's direction that we would probably want to have for the grant, and would be a big expense driver one way or the other. So what are the committee's initial reactions on that question?
I mean, personally, I like roundabouts because you don't have to have the traffic signals. But my question is, we'd have to work with the traffic engineer, because, using the data maybe from the Carmichael corridor study or something. I don't know when they're ideal. I don't know what volumes they can handle, if that makes sense. But I would definitely take a look at that for sure.
I would agree with Paul. I think now is the time to take a look. I personally, since we have so many complaints about people going north or south on Carmichael, south of I-94, and now we're kind of talking about creating a mirror image of it up on the north side of I-94 with, if these are all stoplights, that's a long stretch of stop and go. I'd be for installing roundabouts anywhere where the experts feel like it's feasible and that, the intersections can handle it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of roundabouts if they're built correctly. Some are a little bit small, but I think we really need to look at that. My only concern, the negative side of roundabouts, is that they are not friendly to pedestrians. Because you come around there, you maintain your speed faster than going around a corner. And if there's someone, where are you going to cross a roundabout? Are you going to get that? I haven't seen a design, and I'm sure they're out there, that addresses pedestrian safety. And at Vine and Carmichael, we're expecting it to be pedestrian crossings at the north side. So we need to. That has to be, to me, as part of the consideration.
Sure.
Is and I don't know what your position is on that, Dean, but I look at, I've seen some of the, there's that whole series going across Highway 35 down just north of River Falls. If you've never looked at that, you should go down there and drive through that. There's 1, 2, 3, I think 4 roundabouts in a row. And the traffic moves nicely, but there's also a trail along one side of that. And we run a bike ride, and I keep wondering, one of these days we're going to go down that route, and it just scares me. In fact, probably this year we're going to be using that, and that concerns me about the way the pedestrians when you're making a right turn, you can make it a lot faster. Or you get slingshot out going through the roundabout, so your speed is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's any worse. I don't have any data. I just look at it and I say, wow, where do you put the pedestrian crossing? You have to move it down 20, 50 feet, and then people want to do that, they're going to cut across.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Personally, I'm a big fan of roundabouts in a lot of cases. I would say that on this corridor, if we put roundabouts in, they probably would be the multi-lane ones, so like 2 lanes, because obviously Carmichael is going to be a 4-lane road, so there'd be 2 lanes on each side going through the roundabout. I understand your concern, Jim, about so the complexity, I guess, of roundabouts. It's sometimes maybe pedestrians aren't really. Yeah, they're not looking for pedestrians because they just had to navigate a complex intersection. So
exactly.
Yeah, the plus side of roundabouts and pedestrians is that pedestrians only have to cross like one direction of traffic at a time. So you only have to look, if you're a pedestrian, you look left, okay, nobody coming, I can get to the middle, and then look right, okay, nobody coming, I can get across, kind of do half at a time kind of thing. So
yeah.
There are certain benefits to it. One way you could get around that, and particularly at the Vine and Carmichael intersection, would be to grade separate the pedestrian and traffic movements. So you could add an underpass or something. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Northfield, Minnesota, but they're rebuilding an intersection with a roundabout on top, and essentially their trail system goes underneath so that no pedestrians or bicyclists have to encounter traffic going through that intersection, which I thought was pretty cool. So there's that would obviously be more expense, but if that's something that the committee is interested in looking into as well, we can certainly now would be the time to think about it, and if we can get funding for something like that, that would be obviously the best way to keep people safe, whether by foot or by car. So
that's going to be a major pathway. You got 2 schools up there, so it's there's going to be major foot traffic, and we're trying to encourage traffic.
I'd be very interested.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'd be very interested in that. I didn't even really think that was an option, but that would be really future. Looking us planning and looking to the future. That would be fantastic if it's feasible for us.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I think that would be, if the budget can handle it, I think it would be a great addition, I think, to the corridor. And, thinking about what Carmichael is, it's like really one of 2 north-south corridors that we truly have in town that go through. And, that being for cars and for anybody else who are going on that corridor. So it could be a really great opportunity to make a great non-motorized corridor with the project as well. So
Might be able to get some safe routes to school grants around that too.
True. Yeah.
So, Dean, is there a timing that you're looking for the final, grant?
Yeah, so the grant application itself is actually due next Monday, a week from today. So, we found out about the grant opportunity kind of late in the game, so we're kind of scrambling to put it together, but we feel it's worth scrambling to put it together if we can potentially get this done. So the reason for the conversation tonight is just to kind of get some feedback as to what to pursue in doing this grant application. I don't need anything formal, but I just want to kind of see to what extent people are driving with the design, or if there are certain things that we want to make sure that we include in the grant application since it is next Monday. So.
Yeah, I would say the design as you have it, if we're not doing a roundabout, I think it makes a lot of sense. I love the lanes. I love the thoughtfulness on each of the intersections. I think a lot of what you did makes a lot of sense to me. I would just push it to that school. That'd be the only thing in addition. I don't know if we would even have time right now, right, to look at a new roundabout design by, you said Monday?
Yeah, so the nice thing is that this application isn't really locking us into this design. Okay. We would have time still to go through the design process on this. Obviously, we need public engagement. We need a little more detailed traffic analysis to make sure that the lanes we provide are correct and whatever. So there is still opportunities to figure all that stuff out. It's just this is kind of more of a we kind of want to make sure we don't forget about anything that we could get this grant funding for in case we decide to pursue it in the future, I guess, is kind of what I was getting at with it. Okay. We, especially for things like pedestrian underpasses that are kind of expensive, I wanted to make sure that we included those if the committee was okay with that, just to make sure we got our ducks in a row for it. So.
In the on the information sheet you provided to us, also you talked about some underground storm water sedimentation and infiltration systems, I think. Yeah. I don't know if you wanted us to make any comments. I certainly am not an expert in that field, but sure. I guess overall, I think, it's a grant. We should apply for as much as we can, and then, we'll downscale our wishes and our needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just in regards to that piece of it. So if, because we're expanding potentially a road, we have to deal with additional stormwater that's generated because of it. And so you can do that in a number of different ways. One being like the kind of traditional method would be to build a stormwater pond off to the side kind of thing. And that takes up space that I think we want to put to better use for some development purposes, right? So the other option would be to, there's, things you can put in the ground to kind of provide that stormwater pond, but under the roadway. Those things are kind of expensive, so that's why I wanted to identify them here too. If that's something worth pursuing, I want to identify that expense as well to make sure that we have our bases covered in that regard. My thought in the process was that we don't want to take up space on the east side of the road that we could be putting to better use as, enhancing the economic potential of the corridor or something like that. So that's why I wanted to get your thoughts as to if providing underground stormwater facilities like infiltration and sedimentation were worth pursuing rather than a pond system.
So just for the committee's, real life examples, if you look at the South Carmichael corridor in front of the Dodge dealership, there are two stormwater facilities right adjacent to Carmichael that, with this stormwater mitigation of underground, stormwater mitigation, that we could eliminate some of those stormwater structures, like he was saying, utilize the property to its best capacity. So just for a real life example.
Everyone will wear a mask when entering the West Wing. Staff can only take their masks off.
Cool. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that maybe I should consider or know as we are putting this together? Any other features that we want to make sure we include?
No, not that I can think of, but I like your idea of utilizing, the underground, because, eventually that would pay for itself, really, because if you don't have that huge pond, you've got a commercial property, they're paying taxes, and it makes much more sense to me.
Yeah. My last comment on this, not really what we were talking about, but I've been heartened as to how many people and entities have been supportive of the project that I've reached out to. So I just want to let you know that Wisconsin DOT is submitting a letter of support. The town of Hudson is, St. Croix County is, our Senator Baldwin's office is, our state senator representative are. So been getting a lot of good support on this project, and I'm happy to say that. So, you know, it's not an acrimonious thing at all. Everybody seems to be on the same page that improvements should happen here, and it's very nice. So,
Good. I can't tell what action do we need to take any action on this?
no, I didn't need any formal action. Just wanted to kind of get the feedback from you guys for the discussion. So thank you for that.
Nice. Good.
Yeah, thanks for your work on that.
Yeah, thanks, Ian.
All right, moving on. 3G. Construction of an additional driveway opening on Hanley Road at 1601 Industrial Street. So I had initially intended to have this on the March Public Works agenda, but obviously the meeting was canceled, so here we are in May talking about it. So part of the mill and overlay project on Industrial Street, the property owner at 1601 Industrial reached out to me with some concerns regarding access during the project. We identified his driveway apron as needing to be replaced because it's not does not meet standards. You know, it doesn't have adequate turning radius for the semi trucks to go in and out of that driveway. It's not constructed well, so we're replacing it with something that is meets our standards. The property owner contacted me and said, hey, I understand why you'd want to replace this. However, this is the only way for a semi-truck to get in and out of this property because of how the property is arranged. And so the property owner requested that we consider adding a driveway apron on the south frontage of his property out to Hanley Road. That would align with the loading dock at the 1601 building. So I told him that, you know, we would consider it, and I, you know, told him that we would be bringing it to Public Works Committee to talk about. I did identify some potential concerns that we have with the proposed design. Obviously, the more access points that you add on onto a roadway system causes greater potential for conflicts with traffic and thus safety issues. I'm kind of concerned with the semi-trucks using the roadway area on Hanley to turn around to access the loading dock. I don't really want semis to kind of pull through the driveway and then back in and then block the road. I'd rather have them turning around in the site if at all possible. It would remove some of the parking spaces in the site. I'm not as concerned about that, but that is something that would happen with an additional driveway. The spacing of the driveway from the Industrial Street intersection would be less than ideal. It's about the same distance as his existing driveway is from Hanley. You can see there in the sketch. We don't really have a good access management plan in place, so I don't really want, you know, everybody to think that they can get extra accesses off of roads just whenever they feel like it or have a concern with the construction activity. So that being said, there's a few different options I think that we could pursue with this. We could allow construction of the permanent driveway as proposed. That's one option. We could allow construction of a permanent driveway with restrictions on use. For example, not allowing trucks to turn around or back in using Hanley Road. Or we could require the driveway to be out only after construction is complete to keep those potentials from happening. Another option would be we could build the driveway off of Hanley and then get rid of the driveway on Industrial Street. We could do a temporary access at the proposed location during construction or just completely deny it, but then we'd have to figure out how to give them access to a site for during construction. So Just wanted to see if anybody has any thoughts on a recommended action out of that list.
So the loading ramps that you're using, is that between the two yellow lines there?
Yeah, Paul, if you could scroll up. Yeah, yep, exactly. It's between those two yellow lines right there is the loading dock.
So Dean, if they pulled in here, if this was a temporary, they pulled in here, could they then kind of go over here and then back into there is what?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking they would do.
But
Exactly like you said.
You don't want them backing up on Hanley to slow that whole thing down.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I think the temporary access point makes sense for them because they're not going to be able to use this during the construction, right?
Yep. Correct.
They will use industrial. So that fourth bullet point to me, a temporary driveway at the proposed location, allow access during construction on Industrial Street, probably makes the most sense.
Okay.
I'm not sure. We got how many other people are there on this street that have that same issue?
There's actually not a lot, Jim. I drove it this week, and the businesses, the two to the left, already have access points on Hanley Street. So this is.
But if you go back,
that's not out of character for actually that neighborhood right there.
If you go up to Industrial, though, going up Industrial, there are several places that we're going to be blocking.
Yeah, but they don't have a way to. They're not going to have an access to Hanley anyway here, right?
I would say how are we going to manage that traffic? I think the traffic thing is a little bit of I'm not.
Oh, you're saying this is still going to.
Everybody's going to have that same issue all the way up that street.
Okay.
So, and there were several.
So, Jim, to answer your question, when Dean and I did walk the project, a lot of the businesses that access off of Industrial Street, they have a rather wide apron where the apron can be constructed in two different halves to allow consistent access to their property. So, they take off one half of the apron, deconstruct it, pour new concrete, so on and so forth. Then when that's drivable, they'll move to the other half and construct that as well. So this is probably, Dean, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the only situation where, the apron is too small where we can't continue to allow access off the current, off Industrial.
Yeah, and just to tack on to what Mike was saying, a lot of the other properties have like two aprons onto Industrial Street, so we could close one down and leave the other one open, and there's sufficient area for things to maneuver in the parking lot. And this one is just kind of a unique situation because there's not a lot of maneuvering space involved with this property in general.
Well, would one more option be to make their apron bigger? Your current apron, if all the others can do it with a bigger apron, why aren't we just having them get a bigger apron in the current position?
It's a good question. If you widen the apron, we would do it to the south probably because it seems to line up better. But then you're getting closer to the intersection, and when you start getting closer to intersections, you start adding complexity and potential for conflicts. Usually you try to keep driveways a certain distance away from intersections just because of, somebody's turning on to the street from a different street and they don't have as much time to react to, somebody pulling out of a driveway or whatnot. They might not have seen them, but they, maybe I'm not explaining that totally well, but essentially it's not a good practice. It's not to say that we couldn't do that, but I would just like to keep it away from the intersection as much as possible, but that's my 2 cents on it. So
Dean,
Mike, you can maybe chime in too on that if you've seen that before too. But
we covered it well.
Okay.
So the question would be if we had any impact on what's it going to do to the truck traffic pattern. That's a question we need to think about. Not wanting to encourage trucks using Hanley Road rather than that they were on Industrial, but I'm not sure.
that being if this driveway is permanent, right?
Yeah.
Well, what I foresee if we allowed a permanent driveway there is that, just thinking about, where trucks are coming from and going to, they're probably coming from Carmichael Road, right? Either Carmichael Road off I-94 or Hanley Road at 35. So those are the two accesses to the freeway system that are closest by here. And in either case, I think it would be easiest for a semi truck to just zip down Hanley and then access the site, right there. If they can avoid using industrial street, I think they probably would. And so I think all the semis are probably going to want to use Hanley instead of industrial in the future if we allowed that driveway.
Yeah.
And Dean, your overall concern with that is just that this is too close to industrial, right? Somebody taking out a right out of here. It's basically.
Yeah, and you've also got trees and stuff in the way there too, so you might not be able to see, somebody coming out of there as well as you could.
Well, I don't have a problem with just the temporary opening this up because they're going to have. I think they're going to have to get in here.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're going to be able to get in here or not, I think is questionable depending on construction. So it seems like they're going to need an access point. So I have no problem with saying let's do a temporary piece in here for those guys.
Okay.
And then when a permanent, who's responsible for the permanent piece? I'm trying to look at all your options here.
Well, I think the
Maybe would be
permanent piece is
responsible
just.
for building that.
I think it just continues here once the construction ends, right? So
Once,
this is what they're using right now as their permanent entrance, right? So after the construction, you would just go back and, I don't know, fill that in or something, right?
Yeah.
we want a permanent. So yours is there's like what 2, 4, 5 options here.
No, what I'm saying is, I would say probably this fourth bullet point, Jim, construct a temporary driveway at the proposed location for all access.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because it allows them to get in during the construction, which is really their concern. Right now, they're operating their business, it sounds like, I don't know, well or whatnot, or they're not complaining about this entrance right now. Is that right, Mike and Dean?
Mm-hmm.
So they just need access during the construction, which makes sense here. And as long as these trucks aren't backing up, right, I think that's fine. Yeah.
Kind of looks like it was squeezed in. The whole thing was squeezed in there anyway. Probably when they built those storage buildings.
Oh yeah, these
They took away their turn space. They kind of built their own problem. It looks to me like they built their own problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, are they both one business then? Both of these buildings are
They're both
one business?
owned. They're both owned by the same person. It's one parcel. I think they might be two separate actual businesses, but I think it's the same owner for both of them, if I recall correctly.
Right.
So are you looking for like a motion on this tonight, you guys? Or just a recommendation? What?
Mike, what do you think?
I'd look for a motion from the committee to direct staff.
I would motion to construct a temporary driveway off of Hanley there to allow them to get in. But I also think part of that to be explained is no semis backing up there too, right? I mean, that's part of the thing is they have to, we don't want them to be backing up on that road. So moved.
And the rationale, I mean, I'm hearing from the building owner that they would like that to be a permanent, and so the concerns and the rationale why we would say no to that proposal, permanent proposal, are traffic safety of people turning from industrial onto Hanley. True? Going south, west.
Mm-hmm. Right in here.
That and the use of trucks using Hanley as their primary access. So imagine, let's just say, 5-10 years down the road, we're not all here, right? And all of a sudden, trucks start using Hanley, they're backing up on Hanley into the property, and all the traffic is having to stop on Hanley, right? that just caused a lot of congestion on a main thoroughfare on that side of town.
How many semis come into this place? It seems to me that, this is mini storage. I was just looking online at Google Maps on their computer here. Both of those buildings are meant for mini storage. And it's not my experience where mini storage has that much semi-traffic.
Yeah, I think that the building where that 1601 Industrial Street label is on in the graphic there, I believe that is not mini storage. I believe it's some sort of manufacturing or something like that. He indicated to me that there's 3 to 5 semis a week that come in and out of there. So it's not like an occasional use. It's a little more regular.
Okay.
So somebody has a TV on in the background. I don't know if you've noticed that, but it's kind of, we can hear it, whoever has it on.
I have a TV. Can you hear the news?
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
hear the news. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. You should have said it earlier. It's 55 degrees.
You can just mute your mic there, Deb.
Yeah, just mute your mic.
Mute your mic.
Turn it up so we can hear it, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
is it still funny out?
Is that better?
Much
Yeah.
better.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's.
So-
I didn't realize that.
so we have a motion to.
Yeah, so I can second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we allow a construction of a temporary driveway with the limitation of no backing in from stopping and backing in from Hanley Road.
Correct.
Is that it?
Correct. Yep.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other
It
discussion?
looks like they will be having to remove a tree in order for that temporary.
Yeah. It's
So
a great
improve-
tree, too. It's a great tree, but
Yeah, improve the site. If it's a temporary, perhaps we don't want to remove it, but
If it's a temporary, could we make it so that it's between trees?
We could look into how that would lay out there to try to avoid the tree.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure without having gone out there for a while to know, but I would we'll try to save the tree as if we can possibly help it. So
and there are cars parked there too, so things are going to get cramped up.
yeah, you might be able to save the tree, because I took a picture of that. You can't see this, but they have gravel out there, and it's kind of wide, because I think they were thinking about that concrete apron. So you might be able to do it on this side of it, basically, where away from the tree there.
we'll take a look.
All right, super.
Moved and seconded to allow the construction of the temporary driveway with restrictions. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I guess we could ask Dean and Mike, are you guys cool with that recommendation? Are we overlooking anything?
No, I'm okay with that. I think that's the best solution, honestly.
I agree. All right, so I have the next agenda item, approval of the LOE with Bolton and Mink in the amount of $9,700 for the 2020 stormwater utility improvement project, engineering services related to. I did talk to Dean about this last week, and as you probably know, Dean's a pretty busy guy this time of year, and we're looking at a tight timeline on the stormwater utility project for this summer. As far as putting together the plans, bid documents, so on and so forth. And so I'm wanting to bring on Bolton and Mink once again, probably the last time we do it, to help put this project together and see it through. The project itself is a lot of work on 2nd Street again in preparation for the Highway 35 project in 2021. I did attach a Excel spreadsheet of all of the identified projects, a lot of ring adjustments, a couple of reconstructs of some catch basins, and then the only project outside of the downtown area is the intersection of 8th and Orange, where it's a complete reconstruct of a manhole system. So this is our annual stormwater project. We have $200,000 identified in the stormwater utility budget to make these improvements. And so looking for approval from the committee tonight to move forward with the LOE from Bolton and Mank.
I would move to proceed.
Second.
The level, yep.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Two questions. In my mind, it seems like just looking at the list is like it's less extensive than perhaps in the past. We're doing fewer total replacements, or is that just a
Yep. So a couple of things there. If you recall, for the Industrial Street and Stage Line Mill and Overlay project, we were utilizing some funds from the stormwater utility budget to help cover the expenses of that project, so we don't have the full $200,000 at our disposal.
Okay.
And then the second thing is like you said, Jim, it is a little, the repair work that we're looking at performing this year isn't as extensive. If we do have some remaining monies, I would look to hire some contractors to do some dredging on some ponds, so on and so forth, remove some larger trees in our stormwater facility. So my main focus for this year was just to get everything squared away on that downtown stretch so that we don't have to touch it for the next 10 years, right, or beyond. So I just wanted to get everything buttoned up before the state arrives.
Would you sure and state that when you discuss this at council?
Yep. And so I've actually reached out to the state and their chief engineer, and they're aware that the city is performing this work this summer.
And I'm glad that you answered my second question, and that was the storm pond maintenance.
Yep. So we've been doing some of it in-house as far as some of the tree removals. There is a program out there where Bolton and Mank can come in and do an assessment on our facilities and tell us, actual levels versus design levels, and put together a dredging program for us. So probably not going to do that this year, but maybe next year. But yeah, we're constantly looking at that list that I put together a couple months ago that the Public Works Committee approved. We're constantly checking the boxes off that list with our stormwater pond maintenance.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Mine doesn't have any further details.
So I believe there was some project updates. I don't have the agenda in front of me.
Oh, Walnut Street reconstructions first.
Okay, Walnut Street, you're probably aware that project has begun. The Pembroke companies performed removals last week. They're actually pouring concrete this week. They poured their first couple of trucks today, so that project looks to wrap up later this week. Weather dependent, hopefully the rain stays away. So one of the bright sides of having COVID and all the limitations on safer at home is we were able to kind of get in and get out with that project, not have to pour it in two separate halves, and so it's going to look nice, and so that is underway. What's number 2, Deb?
Pavement management plan.
Okay, so this is in response, Sarah, you had asked a question about putting together a program for our pavement management moving forward as far as, mill and overlays, replacements, reconstructions, prioritizing a street over another, and Dean and I are actually working on that as we speak. He's put together some preliminary plans all the way up to 2040, Dean?
Yeah.
2040.
Being proactive here.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, that's something that I'd like to do in person and over Zoom because it is very detailed and intricate, and it just deserves our complete attention because, once we set something, we want to be following it, as best we can. Obviously, there'll be some times where some streets deteriorate faster than others, but, this is a plan that we want to put in place where we won't have to really think too hard about what streets are going to come next year and the year after, and we can answer residents' questions as far as when is my street going to get done, what are you doing to it, so on and so forth. So I think when we reconvene in person, this is something that we're going to want to tackle as soon as possible. We do have a little bit of time, right? Because, you know, next year we already know that we're bonding for the 2021 Highway 35 project. So we do have some time, you know, 2022 and beyond. It's open. Obviously, we have some thoughts on what roads should come first and foremost, but we're going to want to involve the Public Works Committee on those discussions. So, Sarah, hopefully that answers your question.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah,
Next is COVID-19 public works
and
operations.
just back up just for a second. This
Did you
also,
get it?
I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Really probably includes a change in the budget, an increase in the budget, as to actually, if I'm stating this correctly, Mike, let me know. But we know we're underfunding our maintenance program, and this is going to be a move to say this is what it needs to be in order to stop the deterioration.
Yeah, sorry. I'll just say too that when we do talk about this, there's probably going to be some just knowing what the plan looks like right now. There's probably going to be some hard conversations that this committee and city council eventually will have to talk about when it comes to budget and what things really need to happen out there. I know, on my end, it's one thing to put together, here's what we need to do as I see it, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's another thing to say, like, hey, can we do this? What should we do? And then also, how proactive are we going to be? How reactive are we going to be? All that kind of stuff. So just wanted to clue you in that that'll be an interesting conversation in the future.
I think it's a really good idea to put this together. So I support the idea of a longer term approach. I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think instead of every year saying, hey, we have the 230,000 CIP or CUP, money to fix, we try to fund what we need. So we set priorities and we put it before the council. And so this year I think will actually be a difficult year because with COVID-19, we're losing a lot of our revenue. So the timing of it's not good for that part of it right now. But I think if we can bounce back within a year, then I think council might respond if we have a better concrete plan. So I'm all for the plan and trying to push forward what we can in a way that's realistic.
Great. Anything else on the pavement management plan before I move forward? All right, hearing none, the last item that I have is
I just will add that I concur.
the Public Works Department under the COVID-19. Okay. Okay. And then, like I said, last thing I have under
Mine's frozen.
general public works related. Oh, always frozen.
Uh-oh.
Jim, can you hear me?
We're having
I'm getting a lot of that. No.
Yeah.
You're kind of breaking up.
Yeah. We're losing everybody.
Yeah.
My headline
So
says
I'll send out an email as part. Just end the meeting, Jim. I don't have any other update.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you relay that to him, Deb?
Move to adjourn.
Move to.
Yes. I hope.
Okay. Second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Deb.
Aye.
And Mike.
Okay, I got Jim,
All right,
Sarah,
bye.
adjourned. Good night.